To be fair, the only person I know here is Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron, yeah, I know him. It's kind of nuts, isn't it?
Oh, he is crazy. The last time I was with him was in some festival in Croatia.
Oh, which festival is that?
This has a weird ring to it, but it's called Bumper Club Firestarter.
Alright, nah, I've never heard of it. Bro, you have missed out. They got garage, they got drum and bass, a bit of Jamaican funk, and then the best thing about it is Big Batty Girl walking right in the place. Yeah, that sounds like a bit of me, you know. What's your name?
Oh, it's Sab. What's yours?
Oh, my name is Matt. Nice to meet you, bro.
Yeah, you too. So glad my dad's not here seeing me drink status. He will kill me.
Why is that?
For some reason he has this thing in his head where it's like status a wifey a drink or something.
Yeah.
Honestly, anyways, the only thing he drinks is whiskey.
Yeah.
So, what does your dad drink? Anything fancy?
Why does this always have to come up in conversation? Now you're going to have to bring up that your dad is gone, and then he's going to say how sorry he is. He passed away. Yeah.
I'm sorry. How did that happen?
Lung cancer.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Mate, don't worry about it. You didn't kill him. The lung cancer did it, mate.
Grief take 1, grief take 2, grief take 3, grief take 4. Hey guys, welcome back. So that's a rough idea of what my experience has been like dealing with grief. When I was 22 years old, I lost my dad to bowel cancer. During this time, I was just constantly trying to tell myself that I was fine.
Really? Absolutely. I'm fine. Totally fine. I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
And then that grief is something that you just get over, and I just need to man up. That was probably one of the most destructive beliefs that I've ever had in my life. That's the thing, is that grief is not something that you just get over. Okay, so grief. A lot of us hear this word chucked around all the time, and we don't actually know the proper significance of it. I think a lot of us just assume that it's just a form of extreme sadness, but it actually goes deeper than that. But with grief, it's actually been said that we should look at grief as a form of learning. And this is where people gradually get used to the idea of not having a loved one in their life and dealing with the ups and downs of that whole process. There was a professor at the University of Arizona, and this professor made the claim that grief and grieving are not the same things. They're actually completely different. Grief really is that feeling that you have, the sort of intensity that just overwhelms you, and that sort of momentary experience. Grieving, on the other hand, is the way that grief changes over time without ever actually going away. So when you're first going through grief, there's a couple of things worth noting. And the first thing is that there's something called acute grief. And this is where it's the first couple of months. It's quite a painful experience. You're obviously going through the emotions of losing a loved one. And then there's the second phase, which is integrated grief. That is where you're slowly coming to terms with the fact that you don't have this person in your life anymore. And this happens around the 6 to 12 month mark, and it's where things start to feel like they're getting back to normal. However, what I learned is that grief takes time. It's not something that you rush. It's not like a train that you want to catch at the last minute. I think it was around a year later, I was on holiday with some friends. We were going to nice bars and restaurants in Spain. It was actually meant to have been a really good holiday. Because I was bottling in all of these emotions, like over the course of the year, they actually hit me all at the same time, and I just had this massive mental breakdown. And it was a big wake-up call that I should have just been taking my mental health during this time a little bit more seriously. And also that I think I kind of prolonged my grieving in this time. Not that there's a normal amount of time for someone to get over a loved one, but had I been a bit more like mentally equipped, I could have actually come to terms with things a lot sooner. It's been said that it's less than 10% of people that experience prolonged grief disorder. That's quite comforting, because it means that there's around 90% of people that will, I guess, grieve normally during the same 6 to 12 month mark and not have too many issues. The symptoms of prolonged grief disorder do actually occur when there is, I guess, something that stops people from being able to grieve in a normal way. More recently, this is quite common with people that lost loved ones during the COVID pandemic, because there's obviously restrictions on visiting people in hospitals. There's also restrictions in attending the funerals because of the social distancing and everything. These can have quite a big impact. In a study of over 700 recently bereaved people, it was found that social isolation and loneliness in early bereavement and lack of social support over time strongly contributed to high levels of prolonged grief symptoms. And that's the thing, if you're a good friend and you check up on your mate, you're actually helping them lower their grief symptoms, which is, good on you. You're helping them. Symptoms like depression, anxiety, low mood, these are actually unavoidable during bereavement, but the longer that you leave them, the stronger they become. I became quite nihilistic when I was going through my grief, and it was actually only afterwards I realised that I just should have talked to people about how things were. Instead of trying to sugarcoat it and try and be a man and while everyone else was upset, just be this macho dude. Looking back, it's something that I will never do again. And that's the thing, is that I think grieving is actually a skill. And it's quite bad to say that. Like, who wants to get better at losing people in their life? It is something that I'm so glad that has happened to me whilst I was a young man, and not something that happens later into my life, because it means that I know what to do and what not to do when that bad thing is going to happen. And now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize that growing up is actually about healing past trauma. It's not about getting married and having kids. It's not about being ultra successful. It's about making sure that the mistakes of the past don't repeat themselves, because you can't control what happens to you in life, but you can control how you react. And to quote Brianna Weiss, there's no such thing as letting go. There's just accepting what is already gone. Anyway, guys, that is it. If you like this, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'm sure I'll see you in the next video. You take care. Bye-bye.